Um, you may notice it's just me today. Normally in our Sunday morning CosmoQuest streams, it's me and Big J, Joe Meyer. But he has survived his last semester of midterms in university, and I told him to go away and relax. So it's me versus technology today, and thank you for joining me in this adventure. Good morning, Uncle Bill. Good morning, Guido. Well, good afternoon over where you are. Good morning, Keeper of Maps. I guess you're more like good lunchtime. Um, so welcome. So my goal for today is I have right here a CCD camera and not that you can see it, a little PC laptop. And I'm going to figure out real fast how to get the screen of my laptop onto the screen of my Mac. And I'm going to do this in a way that is utterly ridiculous, and I'm really hoping doesn't lead to dropped frames. So this is an experiment. I'm going to try and zoom from one laptop to the other. So this has the potential for frame drops. Hopefully I'll manage to avoid that. Sure, go ahead and join audio by computer. Okay, so I'm going to switch views so you can see what I'm seeing. So this is me times 2. Let me fix that. So this is the screen of my laptop. I have need for one more camera. I'm going to make it so you can also see my desktop. I'm all about all of the inputs today. And I'm going to get it so that you can see what I'm doing and you can see the screen of what I'm doing and you can see me. My goal is to characterize this CCD and see just how well it works as a CCD. So here's my desk. You can see the CCD, you can see the laptop, you can see my sadly empty coffee cup. This is the sad part of the day. There's a perfectly good place to stick that. Now I'm noticing I don't have the chat up. I will fix that. I'm not quite sure where the chat went, but that is an easily fixable thing. So my computer is still recovering from violently crashing last week. It wasn't entirely pretty, by which I mean I at one point thought I was going to have to buy a new computer, but the universe decided I'd be allowed to continue and granted me a reprieve and fixed my computer. Well, it didn't fix my computer. I fixed my computer in a long, slow struggle. Okay. Yes, my desk is actually clean today. So this is where I am. And yes, there's probably a better way to remote in to my netbook. But the truth is, I really hate Windows. I really, truly hate Windows. And this was the easiest way I could think to do it. And I went with easy. And the only reason my desk is clean right now is because last night it was completely covered in painting supplies. This is my home desk I'm working at today because it's cold outside. So I decided to work from home. Anyways, the reason that I am here today is to actually work on this CCD. Now, what you are seeing right now is an image that I took earlier of essentially a gradient on my desk. So I currently have a Ziploc bag hair tied over the aperture of the CCD simply to keep dust out of the system. Let me see, can you hear it whirring? I'm holding it up to my mic. The CCD has a Peltier cooler that is in the process of keeping it nice and chill. And I'm going to set the CCD down as flat against my desk as possible. I'm going to try and make sure it stays balanced by using, I'm trying to find the right combination of small devices on my desk to stack to balance it. There, that seems to work. And I'm going to do something that has never previously worked, and I finally got to work today, and I'm going to tell it to take a picture. Now, my ultimate goal for today is to figure out how this software works, because I can't do things like ask Keeper of Maps questions about how cool my CCD is. What I can tell you is it's loud, and that's all I can tell you. So we're going to work on figuring out this software so I can answer questions like this. Now, what you can see right now is a set of stripes. Each of these stripes is one of the columns of the CCD. This one over here to the right that is extremely white, that's actually what we refer to as a hot column. It's one that's overly sensitive to light. And when we're characterizing a CCD, what we're doing in part is trying to figure out what are the things with the CCD that are right, are wrong, and need corrected for. Now, the first thing we generally want to do is cool off a CCD. This is entirely new software for me, so I understand how a CCD works. I'm learning the software as I go. So currently it's set to 5 degrees Celsius, which isn't that different. Well, I mean, that's a lie. It's currently 22.4 degrees. That makes no sense. Oh, the cooler isn't on. So apparently it's just sitting here whirring loudly. A good temperature for a CCD is as cold as you can get it, liquid nitrogen preferable. In reality, what I've learned is you can't really get much colder than -30 under normal circumstances. And this won't let me type in the box. That's super annoying. Okay, I'm gonna have to just like sit here and go down, 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 down. So I'm gonna aim for -20. Come on, you can do it. Okay, apparently it will only let me go to -12.8. I don't know why, but that's what it's decided. So I'm going to turn the cooler on. And the reason it has a warm-up button is it will gradually bring the CCD temperature up when we're done. This helps preserve the electronics. It turns out that a lot of things, it's the process of cooling off and warming up that is what puts wear and tear on the system. The longest running light bulbs are ones that, when it comes to filament light bulbs, are ones that are turned on and then never again turned off. So this is a temperature that is the absolute temperature of the CCD. The CCD itself should get turned down to a temperature of -12.8 C. That's somewhere around 0 Fahrenheit. I don't know exactly where. And now we wait. So you can see it's already down to 15 C. I'm going to move this window down there. That's a good place for that window. And we can watch the temperature change. Now, the reason that this doesn't fill the top screen is I'm displaying a netbook on an ultra-wide monitor. So that's why I can't actually move things all the way to the edges of my screen. Sorry about that. So it's not that the display is weird, it's that I just can't embiggen it all the way. Okay, so that first picture was taken with a fairly warm CCD. Now I haven't moved the CCD anywhere. I'm going to try and do another snapshot now that it's a little bit colder and see how that thermal noise goes down. And you can see there's less thermal noise now. That hot column rather, has started to go away. It's still there. So you can see there's a column over here that's a little overly bright, and that's normal. Pretty much every CCD has a few defects in it. Now, what I'm going to want to do ultimately is do an entire set of different kinds of images. I'm going to want to take darks. I'm going to want to try and take flats. I don't actually have a flat setup right now, so I'm just going to be raising it up above my desk and taking pictures of my desk for lack of something better. But today I'm just trying to figure out the tricks to everything. Now, filter wheels, sequencers, these are often the tricks for how to do everything. I don't think I have any filters installed right now, but what I can do is I can actually look. So I don't see a filter right now. I'm going to tell it to go to a different filter position. And it moves the filter position quite politely, and there are no filters in my CCD. So one of the things I'm going to need to do is buy some filters. Now, the reasons that you use filters for taking CCD images are many. One of the primary reasons is my sky, your sky, all of our skies are slightly different. How much light is able to get through the atmosphere is a function of how much water is in the atmosphere, what is the temperature of the atmosphere, what is the haze. All of these different things reduce the light coming through, and it reduces different colors of light in different ways. If I'm at sea level next to the ocean, I'm going to see one set of colors of light coming through. If I'm at the top of a mountain in the middle of a desert, I'm going to see, if I carefully measure down to the percentage, little tiny fluctuations different, I'll never see this with my eyeballs. But if I measure this at the smallest levels, I can actually see differences in the colors. If I use a filter, what I start out by doing is saying, okay, I'm only going to let certain colors of light into my detector. And this starts to allow one person's system and another person's system to only let the same colors in. This also corrects for differences in the glass that is used, because one glass will let different colors of light transmit through it better than others. It corrects for the different kind of mirror that's used. Different kinds of mirrors reflect different kinds of light differently. So that filter starts out by saying, I'm only going to let this one set of colors in, and it's an equalizing point. The other reason that we use filters is by measuring how much light comes in these red bands versus how much light comes in these green bands. I'm able to sample that black body curve that every warm object has. It's that rainbow of light given off by warm things. You heat up a rock, it starts to glow red. Well, it's actually giving off light in all colors, but the bulk of that light is in red. You heat something up further, it starts to glow blue. That is where the bulk of the light is coming out, but it's giving out light in all different colors in a very characteristic way. And by measuring how much light there is at two different colors, since it's a curve, those two different numbers allow us to figure out, for the most part, the rest of the curve. So we use filters to allow us to sample different parts of a star's light, a galaxy's light. The other reason that we use filters is this CCD is strictly a black and white CD. It goes photons, no photons. That's all it can do. Photons, no photons. If I take an image through a red filter, an image through a green filter, an image through a blue filter, I can stack those images together, assign them to different channels in my RGB image, and now I have a color picture. And this is what astrophotographers often do. So I'm going to need to get filters for this CCD, but I'm getting ahead of myself. it's just cool knowing I have that filter wheel there. So our temperature is now down to minus 12.7. So this CCD cools off really fast. Now, as I said, one of the things I'm going to want to do is figure out how to do sequences. Now, I have lots of different options here. I can bin my CCD. This says, I'm looking at something faint. I want to catch as much light as quickly as possible. So instead of looking at each pixel as a separate count of light or no light, I'm going to add together all the photons in a set of pixels. Let me show you what this would look like using a set of dice. So let's say I'm looking at something super faint and I have 4 different pixels. Now, if I look at this as 4 pixels, each pixel doesn't have that many photons in it. Now, if instead I switch that to being I'm being confused. My dice don't actually have a 6 on them. They have an angel on them. Okay, if I instead switch it to say I'm going to bin these images and I'm going to change the numbers on these so that I can add them. So let's say I'm looking at those 4 pixels. So I currently have, between all 4 pixels, just 5 photons detected. If I bin those together, I now have one much bigger pixel. I don't have a much bigger dice. And I can detect 5 photons at once, and that's a much better signal. So sometimes you want to bin an image to be able to get your signal more quickly. I don't think I'm going to have any reason to worry about doing that. Okay. Yes, I can put the text layer below the desk cam. Sorry about that, guys. I was more interested in the chat, but I can see the chat is now overwhelming everything. There we go. Okay. So I'm now looking to do an image sequence. And welcome, everyone. It's awesome seeing so many faces. If you're new, please give a follow. If you have no idea what you've stumbled upon, my name, as it says below me, is Dr. Pamela Gay. I am the principal investigator of CosmoQuest. We're a place where you can come to learn and do science. And one of the things that we're in the process of doing is writing software to do data reduction for CCDs. And while we can download lots and lots of images, we thought it would be cool to be able to get our own images and use those to teach people how to deal with the software. We have a brand new CCD thanks to the good folks at Oceanside Photographic, and I'm still learning how to use it. Now, one of the things that you do when you have a CCD is you do darks, you do flats, and then you do images on the sky. Now, a dark should be a 0-second exposure. And it's not going to let me set that to 0. So let me see if I can figure out, is there another way to set this? No. Okay, so I'm going to close this. What I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out how you take a dark. So this lets me set my exposure time, which it's not letting me set to 0. Lets me get really darn close. Lets me set my binning. Lets me set this, how much of the CCD I'm going to read out. I'm going to read out all of it. It's automatically saving my images if I use this feature. Okay. So this is where sometimes you just have to Google for help. So I'm going to try and figure out how to make this not my full screen. Exit full screen. And it's amazing how much tinier my other computer is compared to this one. Okay, so there's in actual resolution my other screen compared to this screen, and that's just kind of funny. So what I'm going to do is ATIC. This is an ATIC camera. It's an ATIC 1, and it's a version 6, which may be one of the funniest names I've ever encountered in a CCD. And I want to know how to take darks. None of these are obvious. Okay. Okay, so this page I've been to. I'm not going to read a forum while streaming. Okay. So it's not going to tell me how to take darks. I'll Google this more later. Okay, I'll put this back to full screen. Come on, you can go full screen. There we go. Okay. So it looks like it's only going to get down to minus 12.7 today. It seems to have stabled out at that temperature. So now that it's at a stable temperature, I can start doing things like looking to see how does the noise in the image vary the longer. Thank you for the follow, Astro Brian. I can now do things like start to see how does the noise in the image vary as I take more and more images. Now, to do this, I want to do a sequence of images, and each one is going to be a little bit longer than the previous one. And in a perfect world, each image, if no light is getting into the camera, will have the exact same amount of signal in the image. Now the reality is there's electronic noise in a CCD. There are temperature variations. It's not even temperature variations. There is temperature. Where you have heat, you have moving particles. This movement causes electrons to jump around. It creates a background noise. This is part of why you cool your CCD off. It's to beat down that thermal noise in the system. In a perfect world, this very loud set of fans and the thermoelectric cooler, it's a Peltier cooler in the CCD, will be able to keep all of the images exactly the same. It's not going to be my reality, I'm pretty sure. Now, normally what I would do, and what I will do eventually, but what would be super boring to do with all of you friendly folks watching, is I'd take 10 exposures at each of these exposure lengths, I'd add them all together, and then I'd move on with my day. But that's a long process. You don't want to wait around while I take 10 60-minute or 10. Why won't you let me do this? Sorry, I'm trying to type and talk, and it turns out I can't type a number that is different from the one I'm trying to say. One of the numbers is going to get garbled. So what I was trying to say is you good folks don't want to wait around and watch me take 10 1-minute photos, 10 5-minute photos. That's a whole lot of boring that we're going to get to. Now what I will do, and this is how many seconds each exposure is going to be, is I'm going to go all the way up to a 10-minute exposure and talk to you while I'm doing this. Now I'm going to save my settings. I'm going to save my settings as test run, just so I know they're there. Now the next issue I have to deal with is I don't have this attached to a camera. I don't have a shutter to put on this. I don't have a lens cap to put on this. I'm currently simply putting it flat to my desk, and you can see it's getting plenty of signal. I'm betting that somewhere in here I even have a tool that will allow me to measure how much signal is in a box. I don't know where that tool is. I'm trying to figure this out. Oh man. Info. Will you give me info on my image? No, I don't want info on my CCD. I want to know what it is I'm looking at. There we go. No, you're still not telling me what I'm looking at. So this is why Joe and I are writing the software that we're writing. It turns out that most CCD software is not entirely friendly. And by not entirely friendly, I mean I just want something to tell me how many counts are in this image. I want to do image math. And in a perfect world, there'd be something telling me all the information. And it looks like the best I can do is this very sad histogram of my image. I don't want a sad histogram. Okay. That's all I'm apparently allowed to get is a sad histogram. I'm going to take the log of this. No, I'm going to do nothing. It won't let me do anything. Ah! So frustrated. Okay, I'm going to have to get different software to test all of this, clearly. I keep hoping that if I click the info button again, it will give me different information, and it doesn't. And your help button should have a whole lot more than information on your company. Your help button should actually say something about what is there. And if you have two help buttons, one of them should tell you something useful. Okay, I'm going to see. I'm going to see nothing, apparently. I have figured out how to invert a black and white image. That is not exciting. Okay, so we're going to have to eyeball it. And next time, I'm going to have Joe's software running on this computer so that I can do image math for all of you. Okay, so I'm going to tell it, first of all, I'm going to try and figure out how exactly to get this as dark as possible. I don't know what the solution is, but the best solution I have is to squish it into neoprene. So clearly between now and next week, one of the things I'm going to need to do, in addition to installing Joe's software, is build a lens cap for this. So I'm squishing it into the neoprene. I'm squishing it into the neoprene. I'm going to tell it to do a snapshot while I squish it into the neoprene. I'm going to wait. Come on. That was nothing new. Can you give me a new image? Take a snapshot. Okay, apparently I can't have the sequencer open and take a snapshot. There we go. That took a snapshot. Okay, so apparently this is as good as it gets. I'm now trying to get this balanced again. I'm just going to have to hold this. Okay, so I'm going to conduct the rest of this hangout while squishing the CCD into the neoprene, because that's how my day is going. Okay, now in a perfect world, we visually won't be able to tell the difference between any of these images. The reality is, I suspect, as this sequence runs, what we'll see is this image gets noisier and noisier and noisier. It'll look more and more like your late night television not tuned in to any particular channel. Now the trick is, I don't actually... Oh, you have to enable things. I clicked run and it did nothing, and I was very confused. And it won't let me click. Why won't you let me click? Have I mentioned that I'm deeply confused by all of this? So let me close. Oh, I'm using my... I was trying to enable it by clicking on it using my Mac's mouse instead of clicking on it using the PC's mouse. So the moral of the story is make sure you're using the mouse connected to the computer the software is running on instead of the mouse that is simply on the computer you're streaming to. And maybe also get a better mouse for this netbook. I need to just go digging. Mice, even electronic ones, tend to breed when left alone, I think. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll clean a drawer and it's like, where did all of these ancient computer mice that I hate come from? They just form out of thin air. Come on, move, move. There we go. Okay. So now when I tell it to run, hopefully it will do something. I can't tell. Did you do something? Are you doing something? This software is really kind of annoying. Failed to position filter wheel, sequence terminating, because there is no filter wheel position, 0. Okay. So now I'm going to stop squishing this in. I'm going to fight with the mouse. Come on, little mouse, you can do it. I never thought a trackpad would be the foil of my day. Here we go. So let's set the filter wheel position, I guess, to 2. It's not like I have any filters in this. Can I tab? Yes, I can tab. Okay, this is far more satisfying. Okay. And I'll catch up on the chat as soon as I can get this silly thing to actually do something. One of the sad truths about observational astronomy that I learned in graduate school is the amount of time you spend at the observatory getting your data is the smallest fraction of the time. The amount of time you spend reducing your data, analyzing your data, reanalyzing your data, realizing you screwed up on your data reduction when you have brand new equipment, that is where the bulk of your time goes. This is why so many professional observatories write what are called pipelines that will do a basic data reduction that works for your average scientist perfectly well, and then just hand that software out to everybody. Okay, so let's try to run this again. Whoa, okay, it's making all sorts of whirring. Okay, I can feel it doing things. I think it just took the first image. Okay, so while it's doing this, failed to write. Well, that's a new error. I'm very sad. I don't know why you can't write. Okay, let's create a new place to save things to that maybe will work a little bit better. you're going to keep having this mistake over and over and over. So you can now at least see that the CCD changed a little bit because there's a wrinkle of color. It's on your screen on that side. And that wrinkle of color, or shades of gray and black, is due to me no longer squishing it into the neoprene. Okay. Let's try setting where it saves the images again. And what is sad is I don't know if I can like stop this sequence in the process. Note, closing this window will not stop the sequence. Okay. Oh, there's a button that says stop. Let's click the button that says stop and see if that works. Okay, so I need to set where it saves things to. Yes, I know you failed to save the image. Let me find a place for you to save them that maybe works. It's persistent in being angry. So that is the save settings for the sequence. Where are the save settings? Oh, it's going to just keep giving me this error message over and over and over. Where are the save settings for the images? Yes, you still can't save that image. Why are you still trying? Save image as. Let's go into Documents. I seem to have hit an infinite loop that has it very determined. Okay. Really, you can stop now. I am tired of you trying to save that image. Let's see. I'm about to rage quit the software. Are you done? Are you done being shouty software? Okay, so you can see it's taking longer and longer exposures, and it's building up. You can see the gradient in how the light is leaking in, the shadows caused by the wrinkles in the neoprene. So it is doing cool things. It's just being super annoying in how it does it. Okay, so we have first light. I'm looking to see where my Twitch chat is on my screen. There it is. I'm going to go back through the Twitch chat. Oh, good night, fellow hoodlum. It was good to see you. Thanks for joining us late at night. Okay, so going back through the chat. So I thank you for joining us while you eat dinner, Guido. And yes, Paranor, the CCD came from Oceanside Photo and Telescope. They are a fabulous group of humans. My struggles with the CCD, Oceanside is not responsible for this software. The CCD is excellent. I can write better software and will. Okay. I'm using the default Artemis capture software that comes with this CCD because it has all the drivers. I'm used to using IRAF ICE to do observing on professional systems, or Maximum DL to do it on Windows boxes. Maximum DL is super expensive. I need to install that. I need to install the Sky on here and see if I can get that working. I just haven't got there. I figured for first light, let's use the default software. CCD Soft is another good thing of software to use. Clearly, I'm going to need to use different software than the default. So yes, welcome Astral Brian, welcome Astro Brian, welcome all the Brians. That's kind of funny. So the fans could nominally charge vibration, but they're moving at such a high velocity that that's less of a concern. So it just took a super long exposure and appears to have completely gotten flooded with light. Wow, that was just a 1 minute and it seems to have saturated. That's not good. Okay. So, yes, Eddie's back in the office. My dog wandered through earlier. He's doing much better today. So computers do exactly what we tell them to do. The issue being that software, thank you, Canada Kim. The issue is software programmers write the software, and they don't always put things in intuitive places or add all of the functionality. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. It's still taking an exposure. I don't know where in the sequence it is. I don't know how to stop the sequence. Let's see. Does this button do it? This button does not. Oh, I'm using the wrong mouse again. Okay. Let's use the correct mouse. This mouse really... Oh, how is it that you can set a trackpad to be left-handed versus right-handed? This trackpad doesn't seem to want to work. That did a thing. I'm not sure what it did. It did a thing. Okay, so there's another exposure downloading. So down in the lower right-hand corner here, it says how long an exposure it's doing. It just started the 5-minute exposure, which is 300 seconds. I would like to stop this sequence. It's not showing me how to. It's mostly leaving me confused. So the moral is, don't start something you'll regret. Now, one of the things, I know I'm getting some light leak in right now because I'm not squishing the CCD into the neoprene. Let me see if I can get you guys a better view of this. So here is a slightly better view of my camera and my coffee mug. And I'm sure that it's getting light leaks right now. What I'm going to need to do is build a light type box that has holes that exactly allow the cords to go in and out, and that will allow me to measure the current for the darks. So things I need to figure out how to do. First of all, I need to build a light type box that I can use to take darks. The next thing I need to do is build some sort of a light diffuser that I can use to take what are called flats. So the idea of a flat is, you may have saw earlier that there is noise, there was hot lines, there's things like that in my image. If you take an image of an evenly illuminated surface, you can capture all of the dust that changes the percentage of light that gets through to your system. You can see all of the hot parts on your CCD where the pixels are more than willing to react to any incoming photons. And by normalizing these flats to 1 and dividing them into your image Anything that's a little dark gets boosted up because it gets divided by a number smaller than 1. Anything that's too bright gets brought back down. So this normalizes everything on your image. So I need to build a light diffuser that will allow me to take those evenly illuminated images. Larry, no, I did not paint the image on Apod today. I am not that good. So Cosmic Lettuce is saying that I could just take my darks at night. Yes, I could, but don't I want to do my astronomy at night? So the great thing about being able to have one of these dark boxes, having one of these light diffusers, is you can get all your calibrations taken care of during daylight. And then you can spend your entire night focused on doing science. Now, it's almost done with the 5-minute exposure, and then it has a 10-minute exposure. I wish I could figure out how to end this sequence. So as it goes into the 10-minute exposure, I'm going to put this into, it doesn't matter, I've already blasted that exposure. I'm going to blast that exposure more. I'm going to put it into, that's bad for the fans. I'm going to squish it into the neoprene, and hopefully, so this is me squishing it into the neoprene with my hand. This is where we find out how much light leakage the enclosure has. So you can get light leakages in 2 different places. You can get it through the shutter at the front, and you can get it through the fans in the back. You can get it in all different places. So by squishing my hand into this, it will get me a sense of how much light is coming in from other places. Sadly, these exposures are long. I really want to figure out how to cancel this. Whoa, don't touch the fans while they're spinning. There's got to be a way to cancel this. I really want you to stop. Stop. See, if I click close, it's still exposing. It does nothing. It's now downloading the image. Okay. So I believe after it's done downloading, it's going to start. Yep, there it started the 10-minute exposure. I want custody of my camera back. That just opens the window back up. Yeah, so moral of the story, you can't stop a sequence once you've started. So yes, I need a dark box. So what I see in my future is a trip to Home Depot where I'm going to buy some super cheap pieces of thin plywood. So the problem, Guido, is if I kill the program in the task manager, it will kill the cooling system as well, and that's bad for the electronics. So I'm just going to sit here and hold this into the neoprene for 10 minutes while Tigger looks on, apparently, because that's what Tiggers do. And so I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to get myself some super thin pieces of plywood. I'm going to construct a box that has a little tiny entrance and exit for my power cable and my USB cable. I'm going to put a flap over that with black felt as well that will help keep the light from leaking in there. And I'm also going to paint the entire inside of the box, and I will paint the wood before I assemble it. I'm going to paint the wood matte black to reduce any internal light leaking in, reflecting around. So I'm just going to make a box of blackness. I think we all need a box of blackness now and then in our lives. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a piece of Lexane or acrylic or something else that I can use as a light diffuser. I should be able to Google on Cloudy Nights, which is a forum for observers, what people have been buying recently, because I haven't bought material recently, and brand names and things like that change over time. See you later, Larry. So I'm going to look up what it takes to make a good light diffuser nowadays. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Google really cheap LED light strips. So the reason I'm going to do this is back in the day, I'd go to Radio Shack, which no longer exists. I'd buy a bunch of individual little LEDs, wire them together by hand, stick them into my diffuser, and hand wire the whole thing so that I got nice, even illumination through my diffuser from the edges. And while I truly wish that Radio Shack was still there, I do not miss hand wiring LEDs. So what I can now get is just tape that has LEDs embedded in it that I can put around the edge of my diffuser and create a nice light box without requiring a soldering iron. Not that I have anything against soldering irons, but solder is just one of those things that it's a craft, and it's a craft I'm not super skilled with. So if I can avoid it, I will. So Paranor's saying to make sure that I use adhesive caulk or similar to seal the joints. Yes, I will definitely. What I'll probably do actually is run a bead of silicone along the inside and paint that silicone black. It looks a little bit nicer, and I can then peel it off later if I want to unassemble the box. So I'll assemble it with screws, use silicone along the edges, paint the silicone black, and that way everything can come back apart later as needed. And I still have 5 minutes and 30 seconds to hold this CCD squished into the neoprene. Okay, I can do this. So I have a task list in front of me. But the nice thing is I now know the CCD works. I know that there's better software out there, and oh my God, I'm going to be getting that better software. The company makes its money on its hardware, not on its software. They get full forgiveness. I know this is an excellently made CCD. And my goal is to, when you aren't watching, set this up in a light box, take all of my darks, set this up with my illumination box, take all of my flats, and be able to come on here next Sunday, maybe with Joe, and show you what I found from all of those images, and then get this thing on a telescope and begin to be able to make observations on the sky. Now, what I actually mean by on the sky is taking images of a light pole across the street. And then eventually, once we have everything working together, we're going to hopefully bring back the virtual star parties, which some of you may remember from back in the day. Now, we have two telescopes, George and Gracie. And George is designed for the CCD, and George will get the CCD. I would also love to stick a webcam on Gracie. I have identified a webcam that is designed for telescopes, and it is on our CosmoQuest wish list, which I don't have a link for handy. Let me grab a link to our wish list. So if any of you have random credit card points you don't know what to do with, we would love a CCD webcam that we can use to bring back the virtual star parties a little bit easier. And I will say that thanks to the generosity of one of you, we already have the mixing board that we need. So next time Joe and I are recording together, we will both sound awesome, and I will be able to adjust the audio levels. So thank you. You guys are making things work well. So I see Cosmic asking the CCD might be sensitive for daylight observations. So the plan is to not point the telescope at the light pole and just stick the CCD on. What I'll actually do is take a pizza box, because pizza boxes are a thing that happens in my office perhaps a little too frequently. And I'll make a small hole in the pizza box and then obscure most of the entrance for light on the telescope with pizza box. So it'll essentially be a pizza box with a 1 millimeter hole in it. Light will pass through the 1 millimeter hole, pass through the telescope, get focused and everything by the telescope, and then I'll be able to take a picture of that minuscule amount of light using the CCD. That would be awesome if you could participate. Cosmic Lettuce, can you drop me a DM? I'd love to talk to you about that. And yes, many thanks to the person who sent us the mixing board. You know who you are, and you are fabulous. Yeah, so Canada Kim, photometry, the software is 99% of the battle. I am lucky enough to be good with software and was able to do a really good job making IRAF bend to my will. But I have reduced more than one graduate student to tears asking them to do projects using IRAF. Most of the other software out there is more expensive than your average student can afford to purchase just to do their homework set. And NASA recognized that this was a problem. And we have funding to fix this problem and write essentially no tears data reduction software. So this is what we're working on doing. So I'm going to be working on figuring that out as well this week. And yes, Paranora has the answer for you, Cosmic. Okay, I have 2 seconds left. Let's see if I manage to squish this enough into the neoprene. It's downloading. Sequence complete. It's still flooded with light. Okay, so my guess is that light is getting in through the fans in the back, and that's okay. Oh man, I'm still using the wrong computer mouse to try and fix things. So what I'm going to do, what the homework for me to do is 1, get better software. 2, build a dark box. Oh, I did manage to squish it in. It just took a while to download. Okay, excellent. So you can see that over time there is more noise. Why did you go white? I have no clue what's going on. It says still downloading. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, I'm going to ignore the software. It's doing its own thing. So the Celestron Next Image 10 megapixel solar system imager is the webcam for telescopes. So, okay. It's now taking images again. I have no clue what the CCD is doing. I'm going to start seeing if I can convince it to let me warm it up and turn it off, because yes, I know that closing this window will not stop the sequence, but you won't tell me how to stop the sequence. You're just going to keep repeating the sequence. And it crashed. Okay. Or something. I'm not sure what it did. What did you do? No, it didn't crash. It just like hid the whole window. Have I mentioned that I need to get completely different software? I'm also potentially going to find a different computer to hook this up to. Or at least find a mouse to use instead of this trackpad. All I want to do is hit the warm-up button, and I can't get the mouse to go there. Come on. These are not the struggles that getting a PhD prepares you for. I just want to click the warm-up button. Why won't you let me? Come on, you're so close. Oh man, this is the most ridiculous problem I've ever dealt with. It is a hateful little device. What are you doing, little computer? Okay, I'm going to sneak up on that warm-up button. Nope, it's not like, oh, I see the part problem. Let me move that window there. It can't tell if I want to interact with the zoom window there or the warm-up button. Okay, so it's now warming up. So it's always important to let your CCD come up to temperature prior to turning it off. So I'm now going to let my CCD warm up to room temperature. I'm going to laugh at it, or at least at the software. Do you guys have any questions? I will switch views because, wow, you don't need to see me struggling with the computer any longer. That was painful in every possible way. So yes, it's a CCD. It kind of sort of works. Mostly it hates my guts. I will dominate. I shall win this battle. I shall make the CCD work. So after I get new software, I'm going to get wood to make a dark box. I'm going to get diffuser and LEDs to make a light box. And then I'm going to take all the flats, all the darks, and figure out how to make it all go. Okay, that was an embarrassingly bad hour of the software winning. This shall be the last time. Any other questions out there? I'm noticing I have paint on my monitor, but it scrapes off. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Are there any other questions? And yes, folks can totally DM me on Slack. So to plug some of our communities, this is part of the CosmoQuest community, which works closely with Universe Today, with the Weekly Space Hangout, with Astronomy Cast. We're all one large family, and we all hang out together on the Weekly Space Hangout crew. We all hang out together on the Weekly Space Hangout crew Slack channel, and even Nightbot doesn't like me right now. Why does Nightbot not like me either? I think my software all decided it needed to take the day off, which is sad. I want to win at something today. Okay, commands. That should have worked. Why did that not work? Let's try this again. Yes, what Guido said, but I still want to figure out why Nightbot didn't work. It's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Okay. I don't know what's up with Nightbot, but Guido has me covered. So after I'm done building a light box, a dark box, I'm going to make Nightbot do my bidding as well. I have a long list of things to do. So I probably need to go get started. I will be back here Tuesday night. I will be working on writing a Cepheid variable simulator. In addition to Oh, thank you, Uncle Bill. That's so important. And this is part of why we do Astronomy Out Loud. It's to show everyone that science takes effort. It doesn't take genius, it takes hard work. And we all need to just go. Um, and it's sometimes you do fail. Yoda had it wrong. There is a try. Because sometimes you neither do nor do not. You get halfway there, and science is all about the getting halfway there. Is just a little bit, and it's okay. So we're going to show you all along the way all of the struggles that we have, and I'm going to try and hide the installation of software struggles. I do find it absolutely ridiculous that the largest struggle I had today was versus my trackpad. So that I'm going to be finding a mouse somewhere to use because I shouldn't lose to a trackpad. And I'm using that camera now and I'm looking at entirely the wrong camera. So I shouldn't be losing to a trackpad. So I am going to go find a different trackpad. But thank you for joining. Tuesday nights, I'm going to be working on writing a Cepheid variable animation that will show you how these stars change in color, change in brightness over their fluctuations. And I will be back again next Sunday fighting to make observations a thing. During the week, you can also catch streams by Matt Richardson on Wednesday and Friday at noon Central, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. London. So check those out as well. And we're looking to add more content coming in by more streamers across CosmoQuest so you can get a taste of how all the different things we do get done throughout the day. So follow the Weekly Space Hangout crew. They are the ones who really hold our community together, and we are so grateful to have them. That's really all I can say. Other than I hate this touchpad. Thank you for the follow, Borg Gorilla. You have a fabulous username, a truly fabulous username. So thank you all for the follows, for the joins, and for the support. And I will see you on the other side. And thank you, Bad Panda. And I still owe you a knit octopus. I have to finish it. I used really thin yarn, so it's taking me a while. Yes, that is a thing stream. I knit octopi in my spare time. Okay, so you guys are all fabulous. And I'm going to go work on making all the things. So I'll see you on the other side. Have a great morning, evening, night, Guido, afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Bye-bye.